Next is how we're going to communicate with each other at the range. Certain range commands. Now luckily, many of these range commands are incredibly simple. That's by design. There's a lot going on at a range, and especially at an indoor range. It can be very hard to hear at certain times. You're already wearing hearing protection, and then there's a lot of other gunshots going on in the room. So what we want to be able to do is we want to communicate concisely and effectively to make sure that we all are on the same page. The first range command that you'll hear is stop. As you would think, the word stop basically dictates that you should cease whatever it is that you're doing. You should stop. That's a pretty simple one to get. Next is muzzle. If you hear anybody say muzzle, 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 what that means is that you're probably pointing your muzzle in a direction that you shouldn't be. Always leave your muzzle pointed back downrange or in a safe direction. You'll hear people say muzzle, that means check where your muzzle is pointed. Next you'll hear finger. What finger means is that while you're moving, if you're an outdoor range or anytime, if you're not shooting, if you're not prepared to fire, your sights aren't on the target, and your finger is inside that trigger guard, you'll hear a range safety officer yell, finger. That means get your finger back into the cover position. You'll next hear cease fire. That means exactly what you would think. You will also see some range safety officers do this motion. What they're indicating is that you should cease fire. Stop shooting. Next is load and make ready. When you enter the firearm, when you enter the firearm range, your firearm should be in a safe condition. Magazine should be separate from the firearm. A lot of times they'll require or at least request that you have the slide locked back before entering. You can even carry it in a holster with it locked back, indicating that it's not in a condition that's ready to fire. When we say load and make ready, we mean actually insert the loaded firearm, make it ready to fire, and then get ready to basically commence firing. The next range command you'll hear is fire or engage, which means basically exactly that, start firing. Next you'll hear make safe or safety. Some firearms have an external safety. In other words, they'll have, for instance, a thumb sweep safety. When you hear somebody say safety or make safe, that does mean engage the safety. Sometimes you'll hear unload and show clear as a part of make safe. And what that means is that you will drop the source of ammo from the magazine in this case, drop the source of ammo from the firearm, and then you will show clear. In other words, show that the firearm is clear. If a student has a question on the range, you can raise your off hand, your weak hand. In other words, so I'm shooting and I have my firearm pointed down range, I can raise my non-shooting hand, or I can place it directly on top of my head. This indicates to the safety officer that I do have a question that I need help with, and I'm afraid that I might point my muzzle in an unsafe direction. Much better to leave your firearm pointed down range and put your hand up, put your hand on your head, indicating that you have a question that you need assistance. Always keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction. That's basically the communication that we will have with each other throughout this course. Every time we're at the range, we'll use these commands. Anybody can use these commands. This is a very valuable way that you can present concise information quickly and effectively to your students or the students to the instructor. Being able to communicate safely is absolutely vital in a learning environment, especially when you have new shooters that aren't as familiar with firearms.